porting up, and then we can just go ahead and get started here.
Enemy radar contact.
Okay, so first thing kind of doing here is analyzing team compositions. So, of course, this is a scrim, so it's going to be a little bit more organized. Um, I assume that you're familiar with the kind of three standard team comps since you have been playing the game for a while. You just tell me what those are, so I know that you know them.
Um, like a double shield type comp, like
Yep.
a Ryan Zarya brawl and then dive.
Yep, exactly, right? Yep. Dive, brawl, and spam. So if we take a look at our comps we're working with, our comp is a spam, their comp is a brawl. So we win if we can kind of keep our distance and we can drag the fight out. They win if they can get in on top of us and if they can play fast. So essentially, we're playing kind of opposites here. So we're trying to play keep away and try to just get poke damage in. If we let them run into us, then we lose.
hmm Which yeah, this map this round we got kind of rolled, and
Mm.
yeah, this was really bad right here. And yeah, they were kind of just getting in on us.
Yeah, so the main objective there as a whole team is just to make sure that we're staying away. Looks like instead we kind of leapt into them when they had kind of gotten closer to us.
Yeah,
Okay, so they have double shield, so really here we're going to try to do our best to go for off angles. If we can kind of spread out, then that doesn't really give them any targets to run on, right? So for example, like if we get a bunch of angles of them, so what some people coming from left, main, right side, then if they choose to run on something, then they only get one kill, and then now they're forced to go in the complete opposite direction, right? So here we should maybe be looking for an off angle and maybe coming up left side or right side, and then what that does is it allows us to get behind their shields. Whereas, if they have two shields, it's going to be very unlikely that we're going to be able to land a hook through that. So taking an off angle here is probably going to allow us to land some damage and a little bit better than, trying to approach from this angle.
yeah,
Finishing them off.
Right. Then again, we kind of get run into. So you got to try to keep our distance. So when we see that they're running in here, we want to just keep backing up and potentially going up this way. Instead, we kind of run into them in the kind of opposite direction. So just keep in mind, um, yes, we want to be getting some shotgun damage in, but because their comp is just better at the brawl, we can't afford to run into them like we do, right? Because here we just run into the Reinhardt, and then that means that we get melted and
mhm,
run over, right? So
yeah,
so far it just seems like a lot of positional mistakes as well as misunderstanding kind of our play style here, right? I haven't seen much mechanics as of yet, as we've just kind of been shooting a shield so far. But that seems like it's been the issue for the past two fights.
okay,
So it's always good to identify, like, kind of what is our team, kind of. I've very much assumed that you've heard this term before, win condition, right? But there's a ton of different
yeah,
types of win conditions, right? There's win conditions when it comes to ultimates, but then there's also win conditions when it comes to just the differences between the team composition. So I can,
yeah,
real quick, just link you a list here on Discord, and you can take a look at that some other time. But it's basically what I was just saying before about the spam and brawl comps and how you play them differently, and then dives a little bit more complex, where it's a little bit of both. And then hybrid is any comp that's usually that's just a ranked comp where you don't really have much of anything. So the win condition is more just like get picks, get ultimates, not um, you're not playing around the speed, you're not playing around a um, kind of a distance. So. Right, so we do end up swapping the Reinhardt here. You play Ryan much, or are we just kind of swapping because the team needed it?
yeah. Our team doesn't really have a main tank player,
Hmm.
so yeah, I'm not the best Ryan. I just
Right.
felt like it might be better here.
Okay, so if we're still comparing team comps, we are still on pretty much an entirely spam composition, aside from maybe Anna and Reinhardt, and then a little bit of the Sigma. Besides that, Mercy spam, Echo spam, Soldier spam. Enemy team comp all 6 members of their team qualify for spam, right? Sigma and BAP maybe being the ones who are a little bit, or sorry, I meant Brawl. Sorry, they all qualify for Brawl, right? Whereas Sigma and BAP are the only ones who are really a little bit spammy. So we still need to make sure that even if we're swapping the character like Reinhardt here, that we're still playing at a slower pace than, especially like in comparison to their Reinhardt. Because we won't have the backup from our team and we won't have the damage output. So, um, realistically here, that all that means for you is that now it's just going to be extra hard for you to do anything because you have to be playing, aggressive then also passiver than their Reinhardt at the same time. So that just makes it very difficult
Mhm.
to play Reinhardt in this scenario. Okay, we waiting on
So,
someone.
um,
Okay. Charging on that, yeah, okay, very nice. Alrighty, so you can see there, I think, again, we're getting into just how the difference between the comps, right? We get even just semi-aggressive and then we instantly get shredded just because they have the close range. So in this scenario, my recommendation would probably be if we're sticking on the full spam, we probably should not have swapped Reinhardt just because that doesn't really go along with how our team's trying to play. Um, but then, if we do decide to go Reinhardt in this scenario, we just need to make sure that we're playing super, super passive because we get instantly shredded like we do here.
okay.
Alright, so now we're swapping up the team comp. Um, we're still we're a little bit more brawly now, right? Because Junkrat is a little bit more of a brawl, Kree's a little bit more of a brawl, but they're both pretty spammy as well. So I still probably say our main composition is a spam composition, but we're now incorporating some brawl aspects to it. Right. So now after this round's over, I think that's it. We're going to take a minute and duck out. Okay, so we're 3 minutes in. So we're gonna go over some stuff now. Now this is gonna be some helpful stuff on tank, especially like when you're looking to push aggressively. So first off, we're just gonna go over some general positioning. Okay, this is a little bit obvious, but there's also some times where I've seen us kind of not pay too much attention to this. So just keep this in mind. This might have been something that you've heard before, but um, essentially good positioning, good general positioning. This applies to every character. Is if we are good positioning. Sorry, I'm restarting here. Good positioning is the usage of cover. Whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. So if we're standing right here and that's an enemy team, right, and all of them are shooting at us, it takes us 1, 2, 3 seconds to get behind a corner, and now they can't shoot at us, right? We're safe from here,
Yeah.
but in that time it takes us to get there, we're dead. So we really want to make sure that we're playing around the corners and cover, and that way it takes us half a second to duck behind corners, so now we're safe. So how that's applicable is a lot of times I'm finding that we're kind of out in the open, and especially when we're trying to take space, right? We're trying to push in. So for example, let's say like that's point over there, and when we're trying to take space, it looks like we just kind of go like this, where we're just kind of running in straight through the middle, right? Where instead what we should be doing to negate a bunch of damage, oh, I went too far, to negate a bunch of damage, we want to go from one piece of cover to the next piece of cover. So from here, we want to go to either there or there, right? So we shield hop across, right? Come into this cover, we can recharge shield, recharge health, right? Get our team back grouped together, and then once we have resources, we can go into this next bit of cover, right? And then now we're taking this corner, okay? And then once we are recharged again, then we can push in aggressively, right? So we want to be kind of making pit stops along the way and going from cover to cover, not just running it down main. And there's a lot of different types of cover, right? There's slopes, right? There's pillars here, right? Whenever we're low, corners are a big one. You can Um, I know you don't play main tank much, but you know, on tanks with shields, right, we can hide half the shield, and that means that now they're taking a lot less spam damage and they stay alive longer. Um,
Hmm.
you playing on corners encourages your team to play behind you. So there's a lot of just benefits that come from making sure you're playing on corners around and around cover, than just walking straight through the middle of the open. That is pretty much it there. I think we can probably continue. This big thing is just make sure staying next to cover there.
All right.
Traveling to Nepal. Ready for battle. One.
Alrighty. So now, again, we're on a full spam composition. We want to take it slow. They're on a full brawl. Same deal as last time. If we can play keep away and we can get away from them and stay away from them, then we win. If they get on top of us and get picks and whatnot, then they win. So we really need to
Hmm.
just be playing to stay away as far as we can and put all the damage in. Now, it looks like they're going to go point. We're going to take high ground. Essentially, we're just looking for a poke, and we're going in and out until we can get picks. In this scenario, I probably would say it's not even a good idea to try to contest them on point, because then we're just gonna get run over. So it'd probably
Hmm.
be best to just let our DPS do some work and try to get a pick, and then get aggressive once we have the pick.
Yeah, that's the plan here.
Yep. So this is good. We're just getting some fan damage in.
The objective is now
I think our awareness is
Oh
disconnect
yeah,
there.
I had a light spike. Yeah.
I'm on fire.
Alrighty, so we did it. Okay, like the repositioning. No, it's so refreshing to actually go over some Masters gameplay where people actually do some smart stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, here we got rolled. I think I should have held more to the left to stuff him in the doorway.
Yeah. So in this scenario, the only time we should be kind of rotating over to main is when we see that they're like all coming main. We don't want to do that just if we see just the ball there. So you're correct here. We do kind of rotate too fast, and then now we're all the way over this side, and therefore we can't stop them from coming through this choke point, right up on the high ground.
Yeah.
Again, and then in this scenario, we probably, like us as Sigma, we're probably the ones who need to contest this from ball. You know, if we look at our team comp, there's not really anybody else who can do that job very effectively. So if it's just a ball
Okay.
touching point, we probably want to be the ones to drop and go and stop him from taking any space, and then that means that no one else has to try to go and contest him. It looks like Farah goes and contests him. Um, so we just want to make sure that we're doing that.
All right.
Okay.
Finish them off.
So they've completely swapped up their comp. They're now on a pretty much mirror to us, except the echo to the far difference. Okay, so we have really good rock mechanics so far, and I like that we're hitting those consistently. And just mechanics in general, looks like we're hitting a lot of regular primary shots. Yep. Very excellent so far on that end. Okay, played very well. No mistakes there. This scenario, we want to be setting up at that top high ground, and then we're going to be looking to use our ult pretty much whenever they're walking through either left or right choke. Probably going to be the
Mhm.
best time to use that. Probably look to combo that with something though. Might not need all three. So right now it's about where we should be looking to use this. Right when they're walking through that
Hmm.
is going to be where they're the most condensed and allows you to get the most people at the same time. Let's see if we do it.
Yeah, we end up stuffing them for a while, but yeah, I flex them as soon as they start
Oh,
coming.
Don't be scared. Adaptive circuits engaged.
I might wanna words, sorry. Might wanted to wait an extra moment to do that. That will allow us to actually see and follow up on it because we used it in the room. It meant that Bap was able to hide his lamp, and that meant that everyone was able to stay alive. And then on top of that, that just made damaging them harder. So instead of doing it when they're in the room, it might be just better if we wait till they're kind of like on the stairway here, and they're in the middle of walking out. They're still gonna be clumped up when they're walking out because they just recently came outside of the funnel. We just want to make sure that we're giving our team proper space to work with to follow up on that.
All right.
Locking on. Taking off. Focus my target.
Okay. Looks like grass might be the thing that I'm gonna have to look at with our usage, as we haven't seen much usage of that. I think rock usage has been great. Shields have been looking good. But I'm gonna want to look at grass a little bit more.
All right.
It doesn't look like I've seen much being done with it so far. Alright, good grasp there. Um, Problem here is that we're not paying attention to our team. So even if we are pushing in, we gotta be on kind of in sync with our team. So if we're pushing all the way on the point, we can't have half of our team still at choke. So that's a communication issue, or us not paying attention and looking behind us. We just need to pay attention to the fact that none of them had walked in with us.
Yeah.
Switching off. Put a price on good luck. Get in there, Bob. Clearing the board. Damage boost engaged.
Okay, overall, that round was much better played than the round previously,
Score.
and that's obviously why we won it.
The universe flows through. Retrieving the barrier.
The objective is now.
Okay, right now, we might want to... Alright, let's see, what are we working with? Okay, so team's pretty spread out, so I don't think taking space is necessary here. Right now, poking's just fine. Very nice rock. Make sure we're dropping shield when we're not using shield, as well as make sure that we're pushing up to the corner here, not just holding out in the open. But I do like the fact that we are pushing. We're just messing up some stuff there.
Out of existence.
Again, drop the shield. Yep, there you go. Putting shield out when it's at 40 HP isn't going to do much for you, so we want to make sure that we're just recharging it. As you know, we want to leave at least some on our shield most of the time. Kind of same thing with the Reinhardt, right? Because if we don't, then it goes back to cooldown, and then when it goes to cooldown, it's a longer recharge time, and then on top of that, that means that we kind of want a little bit of an emergency shield left in case we have to block any abilities or ultimates or stuff like that. So in this scenario, just make sure we're dropping the lever charge. Same thing. See how long that sits.
What a
Alright, still up.
Yeah, it is a bad habit.
Yeah, so that's just something to keep an eye on, because now we're gonna be coming into this fight, and hopefully we'll get our shield back. But alright, so we just got it back. Just gotta be careful of that. Alright, so we're coming up on our ult. We could probably look to combo this with mine. So Sigma ult is a fairly easy ultimate to combo with, so do on your team, do you I know you said you just started doing scrims, so you might not have anything coordinated yet. Do you have anybody old planning on your team?
No, that is one thing about our comms. Like we haven't really established like fight plans.
Uh-huh. So specifically when it comes to your ultimate, we can be the ones who kind of initiate
Hmm.
that and say, "Hey, let's combo Sigil mines here," right? And that
Yeah.
combo is gonna be pretty effective because you pull them all up in the air, you mines underneath them, they all slam down into the mines, right? So you can probably do a lot with that. But then we're also looking at the fact that they have a transcendence. If we're paying attention to and they also have a lamp, right? So if we're paying attention to that, I'm trying to think. Uh, I wonder if they'd actually be burst fast enough. No, because eh, that's hard. I don't actually know the logistics behind that. It's possible that they would burst from being half HP and then also hitting mines at the same time. But I'm not sure if trance would keep him up through that. So
Activating the barrier.
that's up in the air. If you think if you think that trance is actually gonna stop that, then don't go ahead and don't call it and do one then the other. But you just have to first off be paying attention to the fact that they have trance here and they're probably gonna transfer flux. And then second off is pay attention to potential combos because you can combo flux with mines, you can combo flux with barrage. Flux with Dragon, right? There's a bunch of other combos that you can go for with Flux. We just got to pay attention to them so we can end up calling them out, especially in maybe in a team environment or a ranked environment where maybe people aren't. We don't even have a designated ult tracker or planner.
Hmm.
Barrier won't hold together.
Okay, so we can trance right in after or Flux in after that, unless we get 2 picks. So now we're good. We don't need to. I like the aggression here. That means we're paying attention to kill feed and we're getting aggressive off of that. So it's really good. If we get booped off here, we can probably just flux back up. Oh, maybe not.
Which yeah, actually,
Yeah, maybe not
yeah, that
necessary
was bad.
here, right? Pay attention to kills. We um can probably there's a very high likelihood that the Sen dies right now without flux. Rissa is also likely, right? In this scenario, we're not really down much besides one ball. Probably save it to get more than just Zenyatta. So there's a little bit of a mistimed in not paying attention to what's our surroundings there.
You made a tactical error. Clearing the area. You should be at peak performance level.
Observe the barrier. This does not compute. Barrier.
Oh,
Yeah. Rest in peace. All right.
what happened to that pod? Alrighty.
Um.
Do you have any others to go over?
Yeah. Let's see.
Yep. So main
Which one do I
point
want?
on first kind of round was misunderstanding of how our comp should be played and our character should be played there. Um. So make sure that kind of the first thing we're paying attention to, and this is something you can also call out to your team in in scrims or potentially even ranked. Is say, hey, they're on this comp, we're on this comp. Play like so and so, right? Play fast, play
Mhm.
slow, play far, play close, right? Based off of what our team comp is as well as what the enemy team comp is, right? Because sometimes we're on a brawl comp, but they might be on an even brawlier comp, right? So
Yeah.
we just have to be paying attention to that because that's really what screwed us up on the first round. Second round, we did pretty well. We won it. Just make sure that you're looking to time your ult correctly. Contest point. There's some. What were the other things on that round? Well, make sure you're watching left side and you're not rotating too fast. Yeah, and then whenever you're ready to get that replay code as well. All right, there we go. Last round we whiffed another ult, so potentially ultimates being something we just want to put more thought into. We'll see by the end if that's something that's consistently something that needs to be worked on. But on Sigma especially, it looked like that might have been something. All right.
Yeah.
Um, looking at comps here, right? Same exact thing. We're spam, they're brawl. We should be having the same exact playstyle. That is a lucky hook. He kind of rolled straight into you there.
Yeah.
That was definitely gonna hit a shield until he kind of rolled into it. A nice hook.
Join my club.
Alright, very good. I like the distance that we're playing out here. This is much better than what we were doing beforehand. Now we got some picks. We can look to get a little bit more aggressive. It's not too aggressive. I like our aggression's a little bit better in this scenario. But our team did end up getting rolled over, so I think that might have been more of a team issue there. Oh, bad res. Yep. So essentially here you did good. You stayed far back. You got picks. This is a team issue because your team ended up getting run over. Just make sure that when we're up against these comps that we're not just thinking about ourselves and that we're not being kind of how would I say that, like self-centered in that way, and that you have to remember it's a team-based game. Even if we know the correct way to be played, doesn't mean that the 5 other people on our team do. So now that you understand that the difference between the compositions here and the difference in the play styles, we need to communicate that to our team the second that we see their team comp. That way that our team's not getting insta rolled over, and they make sure that they're trying to kite and play far back and run away, right? Because
Yeah.
we played fine here. It's just the fact that we maybe didn't communicate to our team how they should be playing. Because I think we killed like 3 or 4 there, so we did pretty good.
New defense point. Objective B.
Alrighty, so here we have our ult. Thing that we're paying attention to is the fact that they have a diva. So if we just ult willy nilly, we're just gonna get an E in and then maybe blown up. So we can look to hook her and demech her. We can wait until after she's dead or demeched. We can wait till she's just not in the general vicinity of us. Gotta be careful of the wall there. Oh, very, very good usage of that because we used it to kind of counter the beat, so that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, we looked like a little bit aggressive there. We have some picks. Yep, we're getting. I like the aggression. Okay, so we're playing pretty well so far.
My nano boost is ready to deploy.
This is not the end.
Okay, from this window we can be calling which direction they're going. Alright, so some hog tech here. So on hog, before you're going for hooks, a lot of the time it's very handy to go for what you call tracer shot. Are you familiar with that term at all?
Not the term.
Not the term. So essentially,
Right.
what you're gonna do before you go for the hook combo, is you just go for a right click, right? So what this does
Yeah.
for you is it does 2 main things. First off, especially in kind of nerfed hog state where he can't effectively one tap things like you just saw, this puts in a little bit of extra damage so that when we hook people, we're even if it's on a tank, we got a big chunk of damage in so that hopefully this is becoming a one-shot, right? So
Yeah.
that way we're getting in damage ahead of time. The second thing this does is it allows you to adjust off of your first shot, because it's going to kind of give you the general sense of where your hook's going when you right-click. So if we miss the first right-click, then we can adjust with the hook. If we hit the first right-click, then we know that we're on the right track, right? And we can adjust from there. So going for a right-click before we hook is going to allow us to land that combo just a little bit easier and guarantee that we get that kill there, when otherwise we wouldn't have been able to. So that's just something to consider and try to look to do, right?
Alright.
Can't remember. I believe that was tech that I'd learned from like Harbaloo a while ago.
Yeah.
That was like a really old one. We're on Hanamura now.
hmm
Pretty.
Traveling to Hanamura.
Which yeah, I generally do that. Yeah, I'm rusty, so I was like so focused on hitting the hook.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're here.
This is not the end.
So you say you're rusty, as in you haven't played Hog in a while, or the fact that you haven't played in a while?
Both, pretty much.
Both. Did you take a break a while back, or what?
Yeah, because yeah, I mean my team hasn't scrimmed in 2 weeks, pretty much. So like I've been playing a bit, but I've just been chilling on Smurfs.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay, make your request, unless we want to probably hit your self-heal there, yeah.
Heroes never die. Rocket barrage.
Get here.
The battle continues.
Injury application.
Enemy down.
Everything is
Clearing
falling
the
into
area.
place. Understood.
Let me get you patched up.
Serve the barrier. Barrier unstable.
Alright, so we're gonna go over something here. So essentially what we're gonna go over is called Crosshair Placement. Again, this may have been maybe you're familiar with the term. Are you familiar with the term Crosshair Placement?
yeah,
Yeah, so essentially just why I'm mentioning it is because when we're kind of looking down the corridor, we're looking here, right, down at their feet. That means that we're hitting body shots rather than these headshots, which we know, of course, that headshots are going to be doing a lot more damage. So what this does for us is means that our shots are now just doing a lot more damage, and it's taking a lot less adjustment, right? So when we have to adjust further, we're more likely to miss that shot, and it means that all of our spam shots when we're just shooting it down a corridor are now hitting head level rather than a body level, right? So we want to make sure that we're aiming at head level. Okay, on top of that, let's see here. When we hook someone, I'm just trying to test out something. Just main on a hook. Alright, so yeah, just testing that out real quick because I haven't played Hog in since like the Hog meta or whatever. Just make sure that we're trying to hit headshots after we land these hooks, or at least being at neck level, right? Because
yeah,
that's going to guarantee these kills, whereas hitting all body shots on nerfed Hog is not going to guarantee a kill, right? Even if we hit every pellet, we have to land that melee, and sometimes to get healed in that time, right? So it's going to be much more effective if we're landing the one tap, right, where we're not needing to land that extra melee, and potentially, right? So just make sure that we're looking to hit headshots so we can get those kills, especially on the tankier characters. So make sure when we're hooking people that we're already aiming at head level, right? So we're trying to keep that head level and therefore hitting more shots, right? Same thing over
yeah,
here, head level, right? So when he's walking around the corner, we're aiming a little bit away from the wall. That way when he walks around, we're pretty much already aimed at his head, right? It just takes, dodging my shots, and it just takes very little adjustment to land the shots because we're already aimed there, right? Head a
Yeah.
little bit slanted down, head level, turn corner. Oh, he ran away, right? Slanted down, head level, turn the corner, already head level.
Alright.
So if we go back and take a look at where we are aiming,
Traveling to Hanamura. Defend of
question is where we're. I think we're out here. Alright, so we're gonna get some ground. Right, when we look left side, we're gonna see this.
Unstable.
So look at where when we're looking left here, you can see where we're looking. Right, this is at the floor, at their feet. Right, that's not head level. That just means that when we land these shots, we're not hitting headshots.
Clearing the area.
Okay.
Same thing. Right, again, not aiming there. Here, this is a little slightly bit better. But again, we look to the left, and now we're not aiming head level again. I think we actually were past this, weren't we? No. Never mind. Probably be going up behind them at this point. A little bit out of range.
Enemy seen. I'm taking care of you.
Okay, another good fight.
You needed a doctor?
Nano boost is charged.
My barrier is destroyed.
Heroes never die.
Alrighty, so issue over here is that there's just no cover anywhere, right? So we have to be very ready to drop, and essentially when you're on a character that has a little bit more range, you want to be playing as far back here as you can so you can back up here. But on Hog, that's not going to be nearly as effective because of the fact that we have a range on our shots and we can't really be shooting from too far past that range or else we're not doing anything. We can't land hooks. So potentially here, Sigma, I would probably say Sigma is who we're gonna want on right side rather than us because when we're sorry, someone came in. When we're sitting up here on the high ground, right, we have this natural cover, right? We have this natural
Yeah.
cover. We have the ledge. When we're sitting on this top right, we have absolutely nothing to use this cover, and we're a big fat hog that they can all shoot at. So here, us and Sigma should probably be swapped because he has a shield and he has eat, and he also has a little bit of. I think we have very similar range, but he can. Uh, Essentially just his extra tanking allows him to stay alive on that off angle a little bit better. So probably we should not be here would be my recommendation.
Alright. Because, yeah, I'm used to standing there as Sigma, but yeah, I can see how Hog is less effective there.
Because we just kind of get blown up because we're out in the open and then we can't really get too far back.
Which,
Okay.
this is bad. I'm a horrible ball. I wouldn't forestall.
Yep. Just essentially just, if you can't get the momentum going, let go of your grapple. If you play him consistently enough out on the stall, you'll get used to him. That's essential. I'm like for some reason I'm like a very very good tracer player now, and when I played like in tier 3 and I played in team environments, I wasn't a tracer player. I was a flex DPS player, but I essentially just learned how to play tracer because she was my go-to whenever I was stalling out point, and we stalled out point a lot. So I
Yeah.
learned how to play the character just from stalling. So if you play him, if you just pick him enough and stall with him enough, you'll get used to just his abilities in general. It might be worth it if you feel like you're absolutely garbage at him. If you're gonna use him in a stall, go into the training range and just make sure you have a decent grasp on his abilities and how they work, so you can be a little bit smoother with him. Okay. You can, with a ball, go roll off of like an edge like that and slam down. You can jump as well. You can't do that off of the regular ground, but if you have a ledge to work with, you can slam. So that can get you a little bit of extra damage in.
10 seconds remaining.
Okay. The other thing that you can consider here is on this map. Okay. I want to show you this really cool tech. 650. All right. We'll do it. 1 second. So this is just a meme a meme place you can go, but it's actually really effective, especially if they're on like a brawl like that. They probably would have like very little way to deal with you. So we're on a Hanamura. This is essentially a spot that you can go that just makes it very hard for them to locate you. Essentially what you do is, as long as you know that you have somebody on cart and you have time, you roll around up top here. Okay, you're gonna jump off the ledge, look up, and it's gonna be the second one here, right? And you can hang above point and contest from up here without without them like really knowing that you're there, and you can get away with it as long. When it becomes difficult is where they have like snipers back here. That's where it gets a little bit messy. Let's see. Actually, is it the one further in? Let me check. It's been a while. Okay, it might be this one actually. Just look up and grapple, right? Because then we can just hang here and install. And they're on a brawl. What are they gonna do to get you down from here?
Yeah.
So this just buys you some extra time. Just mixes it up. If you have to touch because there's only like half a tick left, then of course you might not have time to go for it. This is if you have a couple extra seconds to go for the stall. And of course, if you have your whole team with you, I probably say there's like two different types of stalling, right? There's a stall, and then there's a kind of a recontest stall where you're attempting to win the fight back. You can go for that recontest stall when you have teammates alive, but if it's just you and like one other person, then we're just going for the stall, and we're just attempting to give time for our team to respawn. So in that scenario, that would be a really good play to make because we can just stall for a bunch of extra time and give our team time to get their respawns in.
Okay.
I believe that was just the end of the round, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Ready for battle.
Worry about what you.
Ready.
Oh, did I skip a little too far ahead?
No, that was the beginning.
How'd far get so far in?
Yeah, the ball came.
How far I get there already? All right. Yeah. Right now this is just regroup territory. We're just looking back up. Good pick. They're probably gonna res it though. Oh, very nice play. I don't know if we purposely didn't damage her there, but that was a really good idea. If we did, I'm gonna assume we did. Okay, just again, pay attention to just how you're setting your crosshair, because like when we're doing something like this, for example, right, we're looking at the ground. Okay, we're coming around in here. Okay, look at where we're aiming. Right, we're just walking around like this. Right, that means that when we're coming up against people, we're just hitting bodies. That would have totally missed. The ball slammed them up last second. That was nuts. Alrighty. Good ult to finish him off. Okay, I like the corner. pinching there. Good plays. Make sure those are headshots, right? Again, not body shots. Just puts a little bit of extra damage in. There, but a play that you could potentially make. Now, this I'm not gonna. I thought about this like after you made it, so I'm not gonna say anything about you not thinking about it. But if you know that you can tank that Diva bomb by using your E, you could potentially run after the Diva and try to catch her before she remechs, right? That's just an idea.
Okay.
Okay. Try to make sure that you're focusing some of the squishier targets first here, especially if you have equal opportunities. So this is just called target priority. So essentially, tanks are hard to kill. DPS and supports are not very difficult to kill. Therefore, that means that most of the time, if given an equal opportunity, as in it's just as easy to see and kill the Mercy, for example, here, right? Just as easy to see and to kill the Mercy as it is the Diva. We might want to swap to the Mercy instead. The exceptions to this are when tanks are the only thing to shoot at, when tanks are low, when tanks are out of position. Otherwise, supports and DPS are going to, just in general, supports and DPS have like higher statistical output, and they're going to be the ones who are going to be kind of better kills to secure. And then on top of that, they're going to be easier to secure because tanks have tanking abilities and more health, and Ball has high mobility. So, so going for a Mercy right here might be a good idea. Though Diva is low by this point. But when she gets blown off the edge there, and then she gets healed back up, right? And then, especially, so the thing I'm thinking here is the Ball, right? When we go on the Ball, Ball's full HP. Might be better off going for
This was
Mercy.
mostly to heal, more so than to get a pick, because he was right on Rana.
Well, which in that case, Ana can run into you guys and get help, right? And she's not low HP, so us being there for the peel isn't necessarily necessary in that situation, just because Ana's not in immediate danger. So I think us turning around and scaring Ball off is fine. It's just that keep in mind target priority with the fact that he's not necessarily the best pick there to go on. Okay, so we end up getting him. We won the fight anyways. Skip forward.
Objective A captured. New defense point. Objective B.
Yeah, it looks like we get held for the entire duration here. Okay, first off, make sure that we're kind of engaging when our whole team's here. Doomfist especially is not really in position yet, so got to make sure we're just paying attention to behind us. And we are down one person currently with our Mercy, so whenever we're down people on the initial engage, it's probably just better to back off, right? Even down one person, because when they have close spawns like this, it's better to come in with 6 and be at like a 50-50 chance of winning than it is to go in without anybody. So I think our team is doing that, so it's a good decision. Nice hooks, very good mechanically so far.
Rocket barrage incoming.
I've got you in my sights.
Sterben nicht.
Okay. Us dropping underneath there maybe isn't the best idea here because we want to draw a lot of pressure at a point. So us dropping under
Sterben nicht.
isn't necessary when we could get the same value from up top. Tracer, again, maybe isn't the best. I think we're trying to kill the Tracer here, but we can get the same value from going in, killing Diva on point and pressuring point, which means that now they have to draw their attention to point, and we start getting ticks and whatnot. Us dropping just kind of means that now we're in a position to where we're not going to get much point pressure going, and I would imagine they win this now. So we want to make sure that we're just putting a lot more pressure on point and trying to make sure we're focusing point, especially when we have picks, so we can sneak ticks in and make sure that they're coming to us. Alright. Just want to see when we used our ultimate here, what was up with the fight. So we're down one person. We're down Mercy. Pharah is still coming back. Just want to be careful about that ult because in that scenario, um, that's very likely going to be a very close to lost fight just because of the fact that we're down 2 people and they have close spawns, and this close spawns puts them at a significant advantage. So usually this would be a pretty even fight, but because of the fact that they have that's gonna kind of amplify their advantage, and that means that they're gonna be just getting back, and probably you guys are gonna end up dying here.
Schutzengel ist da. Clearing the area.
So that's not a guaranteed bad ult, but at that point it's more like questionable, where you should be thinking to yourself, should I be using this?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a pick. Looks like our team's kind of out of sync. Make sure we're communicating with them, like, when we're in position to do stuff, because they're over on the other side fighting, and already when us and Ball aren't even really in position to do anything yet, or especially us, right? And this seems to be a consistent thing happening, is that we are constantly engaging as a team and we're down a person, right? So last time it was Doomfist, this time it's us. Gotta make sure that we're on the same page with our team. Now here, yeah, probably just this is like kind of where we should be looking back up. Maybe get a pick. Probably should not be looking to go point because, we traded 2 for 2, but they're getting those players back much, much faster, right? So look at when we're touching point, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 people looking at us, and then meanwhile we have 2, 3 people over in our spawn, right? So, pay attention to kill feed, pay attention to our team, and when they're with us. Doesn't look like we turn around and look behind us too often, right? Make sure you're looking behind you, because that will, you being aware of your surroundings and being aware of your team and being aware of kill feed affects your aggression. And when you lack information, you will therefore not be able to make good decisions, right? You can't make good decisions when you don't have information. When you do have information, that allows you to make better decisions off of that information. When we don't know that we're down, then we're down people, then we end up making a move like this, where now we're pushing in essentially on our own against their whole team, and then not getting out, right? And then now that we basically just fed them 600 HP and an extra fight. So the attack here just looks very uncoordinated, and that is gonna be partially our fault, right?
Yeah.
And we can be as well the one to kind of be the organizer for our team and say, hey guys, group up, because if you pay attention to it, you can be the one to say it. Right. Here I'd probably say that we're not gonna be able to do anything from top left, right? I'd probably say the best move I would make would be to kind of go downstairs here, and then now we can kind of get an off angle and shoot at the people who are sitting along this row, because we know that there's been people here like pretty much every fight. Dropping the point is an okay idea here, but there's not much cover, and we'd have to kind of dance around these and mainly just shoot at tanks the whole time. So I probably like to see us more go for the flank and try to go for the supports than just drop point. But I probably say there's a good possibility we just drop point here.
Yeah, which I definitely don't utilize the off angles enough as well.
Yep.
I do know that.
Yeah. Here, us and Sigma aren't really creating much space, right? Keep in mind, as a tank, essentially your main purpose is to create space for your DPS and supports to work with. Here, we don't really do much besides just chill here on the high ground. Like, I would like to see us dropping point, going behind them. Instead, we're just kind of sitting here, and this isn't really doing much. And then, meanwhile, on the other side of the map, our DPS are dying, right? So us pressuring point puts pressure on them, makes it so that they can't pressure our DPS nearly as effectively, and means that we start getting ticks, they start panicking, or if we go to their off angle and go for the back line, that means that now we're getting picks of our own, right? But here we don't really get much accomplished just by sitting there. So just make sure we make a move. Sometimes even a bad move is better than no move. just because it's a move. Alrighty. I accidentally sped through that one. Actually, we have 3 minutes left, so why don't we do a quick wrap up? So, we went over a couple different characters there. So Sigma, I think our ultimates looked a little bit weak on Sigma. Make sure that we're looking to improve on those, as we did kind of whiff two, or one of them we whiffed. The other one we just mistimed and we used it too early. So make sure we're looking to use it when they're all clumped up, but to where we can also our team and us can also look to capitalize on it. So don't use it too early. If they're all inside the room, we might not be able to effectively go in and follow up on it.
Right.
I think you have really good shield placement, even better rock usage, and you landed many of your shots. So you have really great mechanics across all of your characters. I'd probably say mechanics is your strongest suit, and you don't really have to worry about that too much. Ability management is also probably something you're very good at, and you're also very aware of just your general surroundings. But on the awareness end, you do lack in knowing when you're on two main things in awareness. You know where enemies are, right? And you know what's going on in the fight, but you don't pay attention to being grouped up with your team. You don't pay attention to the team compositions, which is a big major one that ended up in you losing a round, and then on Hanamura, your team lost first point because we just didn't understand the differences in the team comps. So that's just an awareness thing that needs to be worked on. I'd probably say your shift, just look to use a little bit more out of your shift. I didn't see enough of that to really form an opinion, but I don't think it was as solid as your shield and rock usage. I think that's pretty much it with Sigma in particular. Just make sure we talked about all the different positional things. I'd probably say overall the biggest thing that kind of overlapped across all the characters was just positioning in general. So make sure we're looking to consistently play on corners, use cover, use objects when we're pushing through space, that we're moving from corner to corner. Make sure we're not standing on the open. On a character like Hog, make sure you're not standing in a position where you don't have any cover because you don't have shields like a Sigma does. And then that way you're taking a lot less damage and surviving more. Make sure you're taking off angles more often. Keep in mind, there's a big difference between an off angle and a flank. Off angles are short and fast. Flanks are long and dangerous. So a example of an off angle would be, coming left side through this doorway to shoot at them. It could be, just taking a couple seconds to, back up and come high ground, where now we're on a much better angle to shoot at them from, where we're getting around shields. A flank would be more like if we go all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, right? And now that's taken twice the amount of time, and our team's losing in that time. And then also, this is a much more dangerous position than the other two that we were talking about. So, just make sure we're looking to utilize off angles so we can get behind on the right targets. We also talked about target priority. On Hog, I think you had good ability usage all around. You had good mechanics. I don't think I think we understood kind of Hog as a character, and really is just more of a general game sense thing. And I guess it less to do with the character of Hog and more to do with just you as a player. When it came to your Hog gameplay. What did we play any other character? We played Ryan briefly. I didn't see too much of ability usage on him. Just make sure you're not playing him in a bad composition to play him with. Besides that, I think we just did Sigma and Hog, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, just pretty much practice your ball a little bit if you're trying to play him. Just to play him the stall, right? So you understand his just how his kit works. Just as an overall thing, probably saying positioning was the #1 thing to work on in general. On Sigma, your #1 thing to work on was your ult usage. Then probably put number 3 at awareness, knowing what team comp you're working with, knowing your or I probably tie that for #2. #2 in general would be awareness, right? And then Sigma specifically, that'd be like his biggest thing. But know what's going on around you, right? pay attention to team compositions. That should be the first thing you're looking at each game. Pay attention to tab and your ultimate and what you can combo it with, and pay attention to where your teammates are, so you're not running in without them and your team's not going in without you. Alrighty. You got any questions about anything that we've gone over?
No.
Alrighty. Well then I'm gonna end the recording